Welcome to the Metals Investment Forum. I'm here with Parry again. He's the chairman of Inventa Capital and also the founder of Targa Resources.
That's the one. The ticker is TEX on the CSE. So Targa is one of our group companies within the Inventa stable of companies. I think we've got about 20 companies at the moment. 11 of them are listed. Of course, one of them is New York Stock Exchange listed, Vizsla Silver. That's our flagship company, and our Panuco project, really the best thing we've got in our portfolio at the moment, most advanced stage. There at Vizsla Silver, I think we've discovered one of the world's great silver fields, and it's possibly the most important silver discovery in the past 20 or 30 years, drilling out a major district there in Mexico. So that's going very, very well. We've talked about Vizsla Copper in the past, which is another of our flagship companies. This is a very interesting one for us, Targa exploration. We started the company about a year ago with the idea that we wanted exposure for our investors to the lithium market and lithium exploration. I was fortunate to invest quite early in a company called Patriot Battery Metals, and that, of course, that went from 15 cents to over $18. 100 bagger. You don't get too many of those in your lifetime. So, what we recognised out of that is that this, particularly the terrain in Quebec, has extraordinary lithium potential. I think that that Quebec, has the potential to become what Saudi Arabia is to oil for lithium. So, I think there are many, many more major discoveries on our properties there, particularly in Quebec. We've done a deal with the legendary prospector Sean Ryan and another emerging legend, Zach Flood, to acquire a number of their properties and projects. We're looking for things there very specific that would point to the fact that there's potentially large spodumene deposits on the properties. Particularly around lake sediment samples. When you're doing generative work, of course, it's a little bit tricky, but there are big databases across all of Canada, particularly for lake sediment. So we interrogated those databases with these prospectors and explorers, and pulled out lithium, cesium, beryllium, rubidium numbers, and we tried to put our foot on projects that had 99th percentile or better samples taken in that lake sediment database for those elements. We've done that now. We've finally got the team on the ground on our Opernaka project. Now, Opernaka sits just south of Patriot's Corvette project. Azimuth Exploration and Rio Tinto recently announced a major deal. I think Rio Tinto is spending upwards of $100 million to earn into their property. That's just to the north of our Opernaka property. We've got a team on the ground there at the moment. We know that there's major pegmatite bodies mapped all across that property. It's the right terrain, and there's fantastic structure across there. So I'm hopeful that in the next couple of weeks, when this field program's done, we'll have found some spodumene on the ground, which would be very, very exciting. But it doesn't stop just there. I think we've got over 10 properties all across northern Canada. Very excited about a couple. There's a couple in Ontario. The one that probably I'm most excited about are the two projects we've got in Manitoba. And then, of course, you see that what happens when people announce that they've found spodumene on their properties, you immediately get a share price uplift. We've done a little financing. We raised $1.5 million here, which we're sort of closing now. Working in the background to put our foot on other projects as well. As I say, Quebec could become the Saudi Arabia of lithium, which is, important in a way, because of course Saudi Arabia is such a major oil producer. The new oil, if you like, is really lithium and those other battery metals. So I think it's going to have tremendous impact and import for Canada as a nation to see these things discovered and brought into production. So we're excited about that one. A few other things that we're doing in Inventa Capital. We have a company called Gold Bull Resources down in Nevada. I was down in Beaver Creek last week and then spent the weekend out at our Sandman property. I was blown away with what I saw. I've never seen so much epithermal, hydrothermal alteration across such a wide area. I think there are many millions of ounces of gold to be found there. We've got a modest resource of nearly 600,000 ounces at about 0.7 grams per tonne there at the moment. But that's double, and that's all heap leachable. So that's double the average grade of your heap leach projects that exist there in Nevada at the moment. So really, I'm refocusing the team to advance that project through studies and on into production as quickly as we can. We completed a PEA about a few months ago there, that suggests that it has an IRR of about 100% and an NPV of a bit over $100 million. So that behooves us to get in and bring that project into production. So there's a lot going on in Inventa Capital. Targa Exploration, TEX on the CSE. I think it's just a fantastic way to get exposure to and leverage to what remains a very, very strong lithium market. And I think it'll be, that market's going to be very, very strong for years to come as we see the uptake in, I think we're past the tipping point for EVs now. You see them everywhere on the street here in Vancouver and around the world. Elon Musk announced last week that they've just built their 5 millionth car, and that's ramping up all the time. So lithium market's not going away. It's a great thing to have exposure to.
Yeah, especially with the United States passed the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yes.
Right? Our IRA is different, and then they require locally sourced lithium, which actually fit Canada really well.
Yep. No, exactly. That's spot on. And I think we're going to see much more government investment, but also investment from the OEMs and particularly Tesla into, way upstream into the mining projects, potentially into exploration. I think we're seeing some of that already. Rio Tinto's shown their hand a little bit. I think they got caught flat-footed, so they've announced this major deal just to the north of our property. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. And I should mention that we have another company in the portfolio called Tin One Resource Corp. TORC is the ticker there. That's a beauty because we've found, we're bullish on tin because tin, of course, is part of that glue that keeps everything together. It's important for solar.
Semiconductor chip.
That's right. But we found lithium all over the property in a mica called zinwaldite. Now that sounds sort of, initially we thought, well, is that significant? Well, it turns out 13% of China's production, and China is of course the biggest producer of lithium, comes from lithium micas. So there's processing routes, there's processing technology, and a clear path to production of that material. So down there at Tin One, we haven't drilled the project yet. We've done a lot of mapping and rock chip sampling, and I think we're hopeful of getting in and drilling that in the next 6 months and seeing what we've got there. So that's, if you like exposure, you like lithium, you want exposure to it, Tin One's a great way to get it as well.
Okay, great. Thank you, Greg. Looks like you have a full deck. So many different companies with all the different areas. Good luck with you, and looking forward to see the drilling results and others development from your Targa resource.
Fantastic. Thanks, Chen.